Is beef or eggs better for weight loss? In this video, I will confirm what a lot of you instinctively know, and that is that beef is more conducive to weight loss because it increases satiety above and beyond most other foods. Also, that's actually one of the ways that I dropped those extra 5 pounds after my initial 30-pound weight loss transformation. And I did that by minimizing eggs and focusing more on foods that are harder to chew, like beef, chicken, turkey, and pork. I will explain why in this video. Hi, I'm Dr. Sarah Zaldivar. I have a Ph.D. in nutrition and exercise physiology from the University of Miami. I was featured on the first ever carnivore diet TV show called the Reversed TV series. I also have taught for over a decade at the University of Miami, ACSM, Miami-Dade College, and elsewhere, and coached thousands of clients. And you can check out the testimonials on drsarahzaldivar.com. Also, one of the ways that I managed to lose the 35 pounds and maintain it was by focusing on increasing my baseline dopamine levels by increasing dopamine receptors. But I have other videos on that topic. Let's talk about chewing and how that affects the satiety signals that you're getting from the meals that you're eating. You probably already know, if you've watched my channel before, that I will always recommend animal sources of protein over plant sources of protein. Now, while all animal sources of protein is going to increase satiety more so than plant sources of protein, beef in particular is harder to chew than other animal protein sources. Chewing something harder or more chew resistant can increase satiety, which is that feeling of fullness that you get, more so than chewing soft foods like eggs. And the reasoning for that is multifactorial, and I'm going to go over why. Number one, you have increased time and effort of digestion, which allows the gut brain access to send that satiety signal to your brain. In other words, it takes around 15 to 20 minutes for you to feel full after a meal. And this prolonged eating time is going to send you more satiety signals. Number two, you get greater release of satiety hormones. So studies have shown that more intense chewing and more frequent chewing increases satiety hormones like GLP-1, this famous drug that everybody is on, like the Wegovy and the semaglutide and the Ozempics. Those are all GLP-1s, but you can do that just by increasing the amount of chewing that you're doing and also choosing foods that require more chewing. Also, you have an increase in PYY, peptide YY, another satiety hormone, and cholecystokinin or CCK. All of those hormones do the same thing. They slow the gastric emptying, so they slow the digestion, and that reduces your appetite. Also, you have reduced ghrelin, which is the main hunger hormone. And so you feel less hungry when you're consuming foods that are harder to chew. There's also the psychological satiety factor. The sensation of eating something that is of a harder texture can make you feel fuller mentally, even if the calorie content is the same. And the act of chewing and taking up more volume in the stomach also prevents the metabolic slowdown that often happens whenever you're trying to lose weight. Every time you go on a diet to lose weight, there is something called a metabolic slowdown or metabolic adaptation. In other words, your metabolism literally slows down. When the metabolism slows down, it can be very frustrating to stick to your diet because you don't see the same speed of fast weight loss that occurred in the initial phase of the weight loss diet. When you're consuming foods that are harder to chew, you send more signals to the body, which prevents it from slowing down the metabolism as intensely as it would otherwise. Metabolic slowdown or metabolic adaptation is actually a major reason why a lot of people regain the weight after a weight loss phase. And that's because a lot of folks don't follow up a calorie deficit with a reverse dieting phase where you slowly train the body to speed up its metabolism again. So I wrote a guide on how I use reverse dieting in order to be able to maintain those 35 pounds weight loss. And you can find it on drsarahzaldivar.com/shop. It's called SUPERBREED Metabolism. And I go over the basics of what you need to do and how I did it so that at the end of your weight loss phase, at the end of a calorie deficit, you can speed back up your metabolism so that you can maintain your new lower body weight with more calories. Since we're on the topic on the texture of food and how that affects your satiety, This is why solid foods generally are so much better than drinking your calories and having shakes, even if it's a protein shake, because anything that is very digestible and easy to consume is not going to have the same impact on your satiety as compared to an actual meal where you have to exert effort to break it down. Having said that, I do understand that sometimes it's more convenient to have a shake instead of a full meal. And so, in that case, I would recommend at the very least choosing a clean protein powder like Equip Protein. And if you want to check them out on equipfoods.com, you can use my code DrSarah15 and it gets you 15% off your order. Now, if you're interested in learning more about the diet that I followed that allowed me to lose all of this weight, and it's really my favorite diet, it's the carnivore diet, then you can get a free guide called the 30-Day Carnivore Diet Challenge Guide when you sign up to my newsletter at drzaldivar.com/newsletter. And for those of you who reach the end, I do have a surprise sale on my one-on-one coaching packages. You can get 50% off by using coupon code YouTube at checkout on drsarahzaldivar.com/coaching. The coupon expires within 48 hours of the posting of this YouTube video. And for more information, check out my website on drsarahzaldivar.com. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.